I'm joined by.
Rick Galvez from Malice Divine.
It's great to be chatting to you this evening. If I knew nothing about your band, Malice Divine, how would you describe the band's music to me?
Yeah, it's definitely a blend of a couple different styles of metal. So definitely black metal, melodic death metal, thrash metal. I'd say overall it's closer to like a melodic, a black death sound, stuff like, dissection and necrophobic, bands along those lines. So
Yeah.
if you're into bands like that, I'm sure you would definitely like Malice Divine. But a really cool thing about Malice Divine that I think separates it from other bands of a similar style is that I think with Malice Divine there's an even greater emphasis on the guitar solos and the
Uh-huh.
virtuosity of the guitar solos. So I really like to throw in like a lot of shred guitar stuff into my music too, and also quite a bit of classical guitar, like
Yeah.
classical like non-string guitar. So there's definitely like a lot more of that, than like we hear in like dissection or necrophobic.
Yeah. It's a mighty album. It's some mega tunes on there. But if you could choose one track on the album today to be your favorite, which one would you choose and why?
I think I'd have to go with the title track, "Everlasting Ascendancy." In my opinion, I think that song just sums up, everything that Malice Divine is about. Just musically, it covers all the bases of the sound. It has like the tremolo picking riffs, the thrashy riffs. Some more slightly death metal-y riffs too. Plenty of melody, tons of really fast shredding on the guitar, classical guitar section at the end, empowering lyrics. So I think overall it really sums up, the general sound of Malice Divine as a whole. So I got to go with "Everlasting Ascendancy," the title track from the newest album.
Epic. So can you give us a little bit of insight then into the ideas and inspirations behind the album? I mean, did you draw from the COVID-19 nightmare and what's been going on?
Not really. Like I don't think anything really, was particularly inspired by that, other than the fact that, like, when I was doing the majority of the writing, for the album, I still had plenty of time because, the COVID-19 pandemic was still in full swing.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of free time on my hands, so I was able to really, focus on getting, the songs, written and ready to get into the studio. So I think, yeah, just having the pandemic, helped, get the songs done even faster. But in other ways, no, not really. I don't think the COVID-19 pandemic really, had any sort of influence, on the new album at all, to be honest.
Cool. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of musicians and they've said like during COVID they've written shed loads of music. So have you already got album number 3 ready and waiting?
No, I wish, that'd be really cool, but I still got a lot of work to do on the third album. Like I have written quite a bit of riffs, but I have like, sort of like my cell phone. I just
Mm.
gotta just like go through them sometime soon when I'm really, settling down to start writing the third album. But yeah, I got like plenty of cool new riffs on my phone. I just gotta, relearn them first. And then
Cool.
write some more riffs too as well.
Cool. So what's the responses been like? I mean, the album's released on the 27th, so it's not many days ago. What's the responses from media and fans been like?
Yeah, it's only been 5 days since the release, and the reception has already been really damn good. Like I think I've really only heard positive things really about the album. Like I don't think I heard anything that I could really consider being negative, at least not yet. You know.
Cool.
So yeah, I think overall the reception of the album has actually probably been even better so far than the first album. Because the first album, had a really good reception too. But like with this new album, Everlasting Ascendancy, I noticed there's actually quite a bit of people saying that it's even better than the first album. Like but that it exceeded their expectations. But they were really pleased with the first one, and then with the second one, they think it's even tighter. It's more focused. Just overall, it is a better record. So that's a really good sign so far. And many people seem to really like the album, which is always great to hear.
Cool. And the artwork's stunning as well. So it really is the full package. Do you plan to have that framed at your home?
Do I have that framed at my home?
Yeah.
No, I should very soon. Actually, I should get both albums framed. I have my personal copies of both albums actually in my car. You know, it's like whenever I have to drive somewhere, I usually like pop them in. You know, and
Cool.
give them a listen. You know, very pleased with how it turned out.
Cool. So can you give us a little bit of insight into the band's name then? Why Malice Divine?
I think you know, I think it's a good fit for like, you know, I guess like what I want to go for as far as like like the overall sound of the music and also like even just like, you know, the general lyrical, you know, content that I read about. Because, you know, I'm interested in, you know, plenty of stuff like, you know, spirituality and the paranormal and stuff like that and psychology and all that stuff, you know. So I think that combined with like, you know, the overall aggressive nature in the music, I think, you know, really it just fits, you know. I think with a name like Malice Divine, you know, it sounds very metal, but at the same time too, it's also the kind of name where like you can incorporate, you know, different types of influences, you know. It's
Mhm.
not the kind of thing where you're gonna be, you know, like pigeonholed into having like a certain sound, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So that's another reason why I went with the name.
brilliant. So are there plans to like go out on the road at some stage with the band?
Yeah, I definitely do want to go out on the road and play a lot of shows. I've actually been meaning to get a live lineup together for a very long
Yeah.
time. I almost had a live lineup actually late last year, back in November and December, but unfortunately that completely fell apart and went to shit. So now I'm here, you know, starting all over again and trying to get, you know, a live lineup to actually work, you know. So because I really do want to take these songs on the road because I have fans, you know, all over the world, you know, that I'm
Mhm.
sure would love to hear these songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just something I've been dying to do for a long time, and I'm sure sometime later, 2023, it's gonna happen.
Let's hope so. And if you don't get across the pond, it'd be really cool if you do some like live feeds, something like that. That'd be epic.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, I really would like to do some live feeds so that like, you know, fans all over the world can you know, check it out, you know, when it's happening live in the moment. But at the same time too, I definitely do want to take Malice Divine out on the road, you know, all over the place. You know, I don't want to just play in Canada, you know, where I'm from, you know.
Yeah,
I got plenty of you know, fans like where you're from in the UK.
yeah,
You know, I got plenty in the United States. I got plenty in Germany, Finland, Sweden, Brazil. You know, tons of
all
places.
over. Yeah,
Yeah,
all over. Brilliant. And of course, being in Toronto, you're sort of quite close to the USA as well, aren't you? So you've got that, and then yeah, hopefully you can get over the pond. That'd be amazing if you can.
yeah. I'm literally only about maybe like a 2 hour drive away from the American border.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, then. So if you did get out on tour, who would be the three ultimate bands to go on tour with you?
Oh man, that's a great question. Well, there are tons of like other really good black metal bands out there that I think would be great to tour with. A couple that come to mind would be Uada. Spell UADA. They've been getting quite popular lately, and their music is really good. So it'd be really cool to go on tour with them. Um, there's actually a really good band that plays a similar style from the UK, where you're from, called Nankarsag. Not
Okay,
sure,
yeah,
not sure you've heard of them, but they're really damn good. So that'd be really cool to fucking tour with those guys. I think that would be a really good fit stylistic wise. And then there's from Germany, there's a band called Thul Kandra.
okay,
So they play, you know, like a very dissection, you know, inspired type of black metal as well. You
hmm
know, so it'd be really cool to like tour with those guys. And then on top of that, you know, there are tons of like bigger, you know, acts that I think would be really cool to tour with too. You know, like stuff like, you know, Behemoth, Watain, Belphegor, Necrophobic, you
yeah,
know, Skeletal Witch, Apsu, Destroyer 666. Stuff like that would be really cool to tour with as well.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So in your mind, who do you think, which band or musician has had the biggest influence on the world of heavy metal rock music?
What bands have had the biggest influence on metal in general?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's a great question. I guess what comes to mind immediately would probably be Black Sabbath because they started the whole thing.
yeah,
If it wasn't for Black Sabbath, you know, metal music wouldn't exist. But other than them, you know, there are tons of other bands that had a huge influence in metal, you know, like Metallica being one of them, you know, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Megadeth, Slayer, you
Yeah.
know. I say, bands like that have been definitely the biggest, influence in metal, for sure.
Is there a song written by someone else that you wish you had written?
Yeah, I like there were tons of dissection songs where I kind of wish I wrote those, but at the end of the day, I don't want to be like another dissection clone. I want to be like, my own thing.
Uh,
But yeah, like, pretty much the entire Storm of the Lights Bane album is like a masterpiece. So it would be cool to have written it, but I didn't. But hey, at least I got my own original music, which is, also pretty
absolutely.
good.
Absolutely. So when did you first learn and pick up a guitar, and what was your first time ever on stage even?
Well, I started playing guitar in the fall of 2004 when I was 12. So I
Right.
picked up guitar at age 12. I didn't even really start playing guitar seriously until I was like around 17 or 18, to be honest.
Hmm.
And then I think around 16, 16, 17 or so is when I started taking it more seriously. And then when the first time I ever was on stage was with my first ever band called Oniromancy. I was 19 actually when I first ever went on stage with that. And it was a similar style to like when I'm doing with Malice Divine, but nowhere near as developed.
Hmm.
So it was a more primitive version of what I'm doing now, or primitive, less refined version of Malice Divine. So yeah, that was my first show ever. I believe that was summer of 2011. Yeah, when I was 19. That's the first show I ever played.
Wow.
Oh
Okay.
my God. Yeah.
So if there was a heavy metal song about yourself, what would it be called?
Good question. I don't know. Probably just like any Malice Divine song, really, because a lot
Okay.
of my lyrics, comes from a very personal place inside of me. So I think, pretty you can name like, pretty much any Malice Divine song, I think could be about me in one way or another.
Cool. So can you give us 4 words then to describe Malice Divine?
Good question as well. Empowering, that's definitely the first one, that comes to mind. Assertive, for sure. Very assertive music. Powerful. And then the fourth one. It's a tough one. I think inspiring.
Brilliant.
Inspired. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so it's just 5 questions now. So either or either. So the first one is festival or small intimate gig.
Well, do you mean as far as like my personal preference, like what
Yeah,
I
which
play?
one do you prefer? Yeah, either or either.
Okay, well, the thing is, first of all, I've never played a big festival.
Right.
I've only ever played club gigs, with my previous bands.
Uh,
So from my personal experience, that's the only thing I really know. I don't know what it's like to perform, a big, festival. So I
uh,
guess for that reason, I have to go with a festival just because I haven't done it yet. And that's definitely something on my bucket list to do for sure. I definitely do want to play some big festivals, one day. So for that reason, I gotta go with the festivals.
cool. Vinyl or digital?
I don't have any vinyls, but I gotta go with vinyls because I kind of have been thinking about starting a vinyl collection for a
Right.
while now. I just haven't had the money to like actually go ahead and do it yet. But
Uh,
yeah, I think that would be really cool. So personally, for me, I gotta go with vinyl. Even though technically I do digital streaming from like Spotify
mm,
and YouTube and stuff, but yeah, I gotta go with vinyl because I haven't done it yet.
brilliant. Okay, so maple syrup or beer?
I don't drink anymore, and so I gotta
Okay,
go with maple syrup. I've
cool.
actually been sober for 3 years now. three
That's
years sober.
brilliant.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
really good. That's really good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to be back on the wagon as well. It's been 2 months for me now, so yeah. Okay, so the next one. Are you a saint or a sinner?
Hmm. Both, because I think everyone is a bit of both to some
Yeah.
extent. So we're all saints, we're all sinners. In different contexts. To different people.
Yeah,
So it all depends on the context. So yeah, both.
absolutely. Okay, and the final one is death metal or traditional heavy metal.
Death metal for sure.
I knew you'd say that. Okay.
Like, absolutely death metal. Like, don't get me wrong, there are a couple of traditional metal, heavy metal bands I really like.
Yeah.
Overall, I definitely listen to way more death metal than I listen to traditional heavy metal. So
Yeah.
I do enjoy it as a style, much more. So death metal, hands down, no question.
Brilliant. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time, and hopefully you do get over the pond when you get your band together and that. Do you have
Yeah.
any final words for your fans, our viewers, and listeners?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, thank you to every single one of you who have supported my music, in any way, shape, or form. It means the world to me because, I'm